Gurmila Mahagat, Count Corley, I'm going to address the issue of fishing, Minister, but just while I have your ear, I just might raise one other issue too. Are you aware, Minister, that there's been a number of serious allegations made in relation to VAT fraud, insurance fraud, illegal state aid, environmental fraud and corruption in the poultry industry? Allo Mohan from County Cavan has stated that his business, which had a turnover of about €2 million, has been put out of business due to his refusal to participate in what he calls an illegal VAT practice. He claims that revenue are aware of the practice. He claims that it's costing the state millions of euros in tax foregone. He claims that he and others were told to deregister for VAT by a food processor and to start operating under a flat rate VAT system. He claims that he was to pay a higher than the market rate for feed, and while at the same time he would get a higher price for the chickens that he sold. Now, this issue made it onto the Economic Monetary Affairs Committee in 2016, and the Minister for Finance at the time, Michael Noonan, admitted, and I quote, "VAT avoidance schemes were being developed and probably in place, particularly in the poultry sector." Michael Noonan then went on to state that he was going to introduce into the finance bill to deal with this, and again, quote the former Minister, "tax evasion in the poultry industry that gave competitive advantages to those who used it rather to those who didn't."
Is this related to Brexit, Deputy?
I'm going to bring it to an end here, Count Corley. Given how serious this is, will you meet with Allo Mohan and other campaigners to see can we find a resolution in this, Minister? Can I maybe just address that question?
I think Deputy Tóibín, it would be more appropriate if you were to write to me and put with the particular matters that you were stating. I don't think it's appropriate I would address it here on the floor of the House. Thank you.
I will indeed write, and I know the former ministers have had letters written to them in this regards. In relation to fishing, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney, has admitted that fishermen and fisherwomen will be very disappointed with the deal that was achieved with Britain regards fishing concessions. Now, as Minister responsible for the Marine, did you raise objections to the deal? And if so, where were those objections? Where did they materialise? What effect did they have?
I think, Deputy Tóibín, obviously, from the very outset, all of us nationally and the fishing sector in particular were very concerned in relation to the potential impact that Brexit could have in the fisheries sector. You'll be very aware of how it was made to be at #1 priority by the British government in relation to seeking to take back fish quota and to reclaim their waters and all of the fish that is caught by non-EU fleet in their waters. And the approach taken was a resolute and strong one nationally, working with our sector domestically to ensure we spoke with one voice, and indeed to ensure that we spoke with one voice at European level, both in terms of myself working at political level with other EU fisheries members and the EU Commissioner, the Fisheries Commissioner, and likewise with the industry working with their compatriots or partners at UEFA level to ensure that the EU approach to the negotiations from a fisheries point of view was as strong as it possibly could be. And I think that was really instrumental in relation to ensuring that the worst excesses that Brexit could have reaped for fisheries was avoided, first of all in relation to a no-deal Brexit, and secondly in relation to pushing back at every opportunity in relation to the British demand for 100% of the fish caught in their waters by the EU fleet to be reallocated. And ultimately that was confined to 25%, which is damaging in itself, but certainly was an outcome that was very much achieved as a result of a very strong negotiating approach.
Deputy.
I suppose, Minister, I asked, did you object to the elements in any ways, and how did that have a material outcome? I imagine that what you've given me there is a very long way of saying no, that there was no official objection made by you or the department or the government in relation to what Simon Coveney himself said is a very disappointing outcome. Ireland's coastal share of fish will shrink by at least 15% over the next 6 years. The mean reduction of fishing per EU member state is 9%. So again, Ireland's reduction is significantly surpasses what the average European reduction is. And in fact, Ireland's fishing industry is the joint highest loser with Germany. How was this allowed to occur? I understand it's very complex negotiations, so many balls in the air, but how was it that Ireland happened to be the country, along with Germany, who lost the most? And then just finally, the question here is, Sean O'Donoghue, the chief executive of the Fishermen's Organisation, said that they would now only get 13% share. He said it is totally unfair for mackerel that they are spawned off the west coast of Ireland, 80% of them. We're now ending up with only a 13% share, and Britain has a 71% share. This is totally unacceptable, and we're not going to lie down and accept it. So how do you propose now, Minister, that we change this to make sure that we get a fairer breakdown of this in future?
Thank you, Deputy Minister. To conclude.
Yeah, thank you, Concordia. I think I made it clear, Deputy Tóibín, in my first response, that we fought tooth and nail as a nation to ensure that there would be no loss of fish. That was what we were looking for. Obviously, the British government approach was where they wanted to take back 100% of the fish caught in EU waters. At all points across throughout the negotiation, our approach was hold tight, don't give. Unfortunately, when it came to the end, in order for a deal to happen, there was an outcome in relation to fish. Not on the scale of what it would have been from a fisheries point of view in a no-deal scenario where we would have lost access and to where we catch 1/3 of our fish in British waters, nor indeed on the scale that would have reaped very significant damage across the rest of our economy as well. So that was our clear position all along the way, to hold the strongest position and line possible.
Thank you, Minister.
Ultimately, it resulted in fish being the very last item to be agreed on, and which ultimately the deal hinged on, because
Thank you very
of
much,
the very
Minister.
resolute approach we took to it.